All right, everyone, welcome back into another PGA DFS. Oh, not PGA DFS. I'm sorry. I'm used to that. NFL DFS video. We got the preseason slate here for Saturday morning. So it's a little bit of a 3-game slate. Apologize for kind of the late video out here. Obviously, it takes a lot of research to go into this. So if you enjoy this video, give me a like and a subscribe. I do appreciate that. Doing a live stream for the first time in a while, I do worry about the quality of this. I'm kind of just doing this because I was forced to, just time-wise. Putting out a video just separately without it being live really doesn't benefit the channel at all. It kind of actually hurts it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, that thumbs up does help out a lot. Comments help out a lot. Obviously this can be like 2 hours before lineup lock. So let's get into it. It should be kind of I wouldn't say it's straightforward, but we do have enough plays that does cause an edge or help us make an edge. So let's get into that. And just out of curiosity, if the stream quality is down or is good, can you just let me know in the comment section, or in the chat, I guess, would be the best way to do that. Just let me know in the chat. But just looking at, we're going to start off with the Bears and Chiefs game, obviously the first game on the slate. Looking at it right now, Patrick Mahomes is expected to play a little bit. So a lot of these teams are going to play about a quarter or 10 to 20 snaps for their starters, okay? I like these. Hey, Jerry, what's going on? It's been a while. That's true. Like Jerry's in the chat. I should do live streams more because I missed out on seeing, familiar faces, I guess names, but, Patrick Mahomes, he's expected to play about a quarter. Obviously, if we're getting a quarter of play out of Patrick Mahomes, that is intriguing. I would say if you do want to play him in about like 10% of builds, you can, but obviously playing time is king. And with that, like, all these players are just expected to get about a quarter of play. Chad Henne, quarter of play. There's not that much of an edge there. So that does worry me about them. And with that being said, like, you do worry about the running back situation as well. Now, 2 running backs for the Chiefs have been getting, a decent amount of hype. Obviously, I'm not going to butcher the last name. I apologize here, but he's been getting a lot of hype out of camp. And really what we're going to see is he Darwin Thompson? I don't know if you guys remember that name, but he was pretty much getting the exact same amount of hype or exact same hype out of camp as, not butchering his last name, Piaccio. I'm sorry. I gotta look these up before. I always just watch the highlight videos and whatnot without the volume. But yeah, he's been getting a lot of hype out of camp. He's someone that can catch the pass out of the backfield. He seems like he's going to get some playing time in this game, and obviously that's intriguing. This is going to be his game to prove himself, and I do expect him to get some work in the passing game. They kind of know what they have in Jerick McKinnon and in Clyde Edwards-Helaire and even Rojo. And the interesting thing about Rojo is that he is expected to kind of be the third stringer in this game, which is a little bit intriguing as well. You got Rojo going against third stringers. Like, he should be able to tear them up, but really that comes down to blocking and whatnot. Derek Gore, I actually do like a little bit as well. Gore was someone that last year kind of looked like their best runner, and I kind of say that a decent amount. So what I mean by runner is just running the ball, okay? He might have been their most complete back, but at the same time, he still is a good running back as a whole, okay? So just something for you guys to monitor there. I don't love them. Like, more or less, they're going to be plays. If you guys are doing a game stack, that's what you want to do. And then we're going to move on into the receiver spot there for the Chiefs. Nothing much to love too much. Like, Justin Watson is the one player that actually has been getting a decent amount out of hype out of camp. I actually do like him a lot. He's someone that does get open a decent amount. So if you get like maybe a half a football out of him, I expect him to get around 5 targets. maybe he can convert that into 3 receptions for 60 yards or something. Like, he is someone that I'm a little bit interested in. And really, that's kind of it for the Chiefs. Tight end wise, kind of just spread out a little bit too much. Maybe you could go with their defense with their starters playing a little bit more and the kind of Bears backups not being all that great. You could do that if you want to. Looking at the quarterback situation for the Chicago Bears, it's a little bit intriguing. So you got Justin Fields. He's expected to play about 10 to 20 snaps. Really what that comes down to for me is that these guys or the coaches want to see just a good series out of them. They want to see a good offensive series. Okay, so if that happens on the first series, then Justin Fields is going to be taken out. If he struggles, he could be playing 3 series, and that's really what it comes down to. So that's kind of the case, I think, with Mahomes as well, and a lot of the starting quarterbacks and just starters on offense is that they want to see a good drive. The coaches want to see at least one good drive. And if that doesn't happen at all, well, then they're going to get taken out after 20 snaps. So the likelihood of touchdowns being scored from teams with their starters and there is kind of high, but trying to figure out who that player is going to be is a little bit more difficult. Okay, we kind of get that. But yeah, I don't really want to play Justin Fields. It is expected that Trevor Siemian is going to take over after Fields is in the game. So, it comes down to how much playing time is Fields going to get. So Siemian will probably play, the rest of the first half and then probably a drive or 2 in the third quarter. And then we're going to so that's fine. I like him. If you want to play him and stack the Bears, you can. But that also leaves the preseason goat, Nathan Peterman. So if you guys have been playing preseason DFS, well, you probably have benefited from playing Nathan Peterman. Pretty much plain and simple. When he was with the Oakland Raiders, he was pretty much playing the full game and locking in like 12 DK points. So if we get Nathan Peterman playing about a half of football, that is intriguing to me. We know he's like the classic, in baseball terms. You get these players that, all the way up from AA, AAA, single A, whatever, they're really good hitters. And then they get to the MLB and they just can't hit the ball anymore. That slight difference in speed and break is a little bit too much for them to handle. Well, that's kind of Nathan Peterman. Like, he looks really good against backups, and then you get him against starters and it gets ugly. He just doesn't have that velocity on his ball to be able to make those certain passes in which like NFL starters speed have. Like, that's where it comes down to. But the fact of the matter is, if he's getting a full half of football, I do expect him to get a touchdown, and that is something that does intrigue me a little bit. So if you were trying to game stack this game, you could play him or Siemian. I don't mind that. And then at running back, David Montgomery is going to sit. We got Khalil Herbert, who, he should play about, the same amount of snaps as Justin Fields. Then we got Darrington Evans, who I like, kind of a little bit of a scat back. They like him as well. They wouldn't have brought him in if they didn't, because they picked up his rookie contract, so they kind of want to see what they have in him. So I don't mind him. And then rookie running back Tristan Ebner, getting a little bit of hype out of camp as well. He's kind of a versatile running back. He's someone that I expect to get some work out of the passing game. So if you want to play Ebner, I like that, especially if you're trying to stack like maybe Peterman or Siemian and kind of this game. You could go Ebner because probably get around 3 targets out of the passing game, maybe a couple of short dump offs. Like, that is not a bad option to go with if you're trying to stack that game. Obviously, for showdown slates, much more appealing. And if you're doing a showdown slate, this is not a bad start. It's not a game that I particularly want to attack showdown-wise, but you could. From there, we get the Bears receivers. The Bears receivers are pretty banged up. Okay, that's the best way to sum it up. Darnell Mooney, he's the starter. I don't know why they would play him too much, just given the fact that they are banged up. It doesn't really make sense for him to get a lot of playing time. So with Pringle out, the rookie out, N'Keal Harry out, that doesn't leave that many receivers. And EQ, St. Brown here, he's kind of the de facto starter now. And maybe for best ball drafts, you're thinking about taking him as like a late round flyer. That's the biggest takeaway from him. But that really leaves us with Tajay Sharp, Isaiah Coulter, and Dante Pettis. So Sharp, I do expect him to play in this game, and I do expect him to play well. We know he's a proven NFL receiver, probably a receiver number 3, maybe 4 in most offenses, but in this game, most likely getting a full half of football. That's intriguing to me, and it should be intriguing to you guys. He should have a nice floor. And then from there, Coulter probably been the one receiver getting the most hype out of camp for the Chicago Bears, in terms of players that are healthy, I should say, right now. So, he's someone where if you're playing Nathan Peterman or Simeon, yeah, you should probably stack Coulter with him because the chances of him hitting are pretty high. And then, Des Newsome has been getting some hype out of camp. I don't particularly like him. I actually do like Dante Pettis, who, let's face it, Dante Pettis, for some reason or other, hasn't been getting on the field. I think it comes down to maybe he's just not a good player in practice, like just doesn't care in practice, has a bad attitude and whatnot. Maybe that's what it is. But when he does get onto the field, he typically does produce. We saw with the Giants for like a little 2-game stretch, 11 targets and 5 targets. Like you're not going to get that usage and production if you're not getting open. So we got Dante Pettis potentially going against 4th, 5th stringers, whether that be in the second half or the first half. That's intriguing enough to me. He's much more of a gamer. We'll see. He should be able to produce. It's just whether or not he does. And then from there, I actually do really like the Bears tight ends room as well. So looking at it right now, we can see a bunch of them are banged up. Okay, that's the first takeaway. A bunch of them are banged up. And then you got 2 rookie tight ends and Chase Allen, who apparently him and Nathan Peterman have been connecting, and Jake Tongues, also same thing. Kind of him and Nathan Peterman have been connecting. Really, it's just like, okay, we're a little bit banged up with our pass catchers as a whole, receiver and tight end. Give these rookies some go because, well, we can't afford to have any more injuries because their top 3 tight ends are injured right now. Or a little bit, they're not injured, just not going to play in this one or not going to play a lot. So it makes sense to get these younger guys some targets, some playing time. See what you have in them. Get out of the preseason healthy. That's really what their goal is going to be. So you could play one of them. Really, it's 50-50 to me. We'll go Chase Allen for now. Now we're going to get into kind of the less sexy games. And if you guys have any questions, get them in the comment section below. I'll try to answer them after each segment. And once again, if you're enjoying this video, get that like up there. That does help out the channel a lot. I do appreciate that. Getting into that Carolina game, though. So this is another one of those where it's tough to really want to play any of the quarterbacks. Okay, Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold, they're going to split work. They're in a little bit of a quarterback competition. And maybe because of that, kind of like with the Giants, where I said, probably not Daniel Jones, but maybe Tyrod Taylor could score a touchdown. You could maybe do that if you want to go that route. That's up to you. So maybe you want to go with Sam Darnold instead. But all 4 quarterbacks should probably get some playing time in this one, and maybe it'd be about a quarter or so. We don't really know. And the one thing I want to do is I want to chase playing time, and we don't have that guarantee here with the Carolina Panthers, so that's not something I'm personally going to chase. And then at the running back position, I didn't really see anyone that I liked. Maybe Chuba Hubbard, still a younger back. I just feel like I'm forcing that in there, so no real reason to kind of chase that. We do have 2 receivers that I actually like, though. Rashad Higgins, good enough, proven veteran. He should be able to get open and get some targets. I actually do like Brandon Zylstra as well. He's typically one of those players that just dominates against backups. He is kind of my Nathan Peterman receivers, where you get him going against backups and he should be able to dominate. The former Canadian football player standout, he should be able to play well. He had some okay games for the Panthers last year. So if you get him going against 4 stringers, 5th stringers, that is intriguing to me a little bit. But the problem with it is we don't really have a quarterback to stack him with. So I don't particularly love that. He's kind of just like a one-off play that you can make. From there, the tight end room, though, that is a little bit interesting here for the Carolina Panthers, and probably the one spot I want to chase the most. Like with the Bears, we're kind of just making some educated guesses. With the Panthers, it's like, all right, one of these guys should produce. Okay, so we got Tommy Tremble, the young tight end there. He should get a decent amount of playing time. I'm guessing he's going to play with Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold today. And then once the backups come in, we're going to see Stephen Sullivan here. So Tremble, I do like. If you can fit him in there, do it. That makes sense. So I don't know. Let's just clear this out so I can redo some builds with the game stacks. Tremble makes a lot of sense. Okay, I like that a lot. But you also do have Jared Scott, kind of a rookie tight end. Actually, I messed up there, guys. Sullivan. He has apparently not been with the team. There's some personal issues going on with him. Okay, so that really leaves Ian Thomas. Let's see here. Let's just make sure that this hasn't changed. Shouldn't play. Thompson, dealing with the calf injury as of 2 days ago, shouldn't play. I'm just making sure that these are still good to go from like an hour ago. Okay. Josh shouldn't play. So that literally leaves us with Tommy Tremble and Jared Scott. So I expect Tommy Tremble to get work with Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, and then Jared Scott would be the one coming in with the backups. Both of them probably getting a full half of football. Okay, that is highly intriguing to me. And I didn't see if they brought in another tight end. I'm assuming they did. I'm assuming they were forced to. Maybe a fullback's going to be playing there a little bit, but man, that's kind of great. And maybe kind of like the same thought process with the Bears is that because they're banged up so much at the tight end spot currently, maybe they just play the rookie tight end Jared Scott. Maybe that's the move. So maybe you just want to go Jared Scott, secure that playing time. Because that's crazy, guys. That is opportunity that you really just can't pass up on. Now moving on into the Washington side. So Carson Wentz expected to play once again, kind of like the Justin Fields stuff, like about a quarter to pretty much a quarter to like 10 snaps, whatever. Not too much. And then we get Tyler Heineke going against backups from the end of the first quarter to, I expect it to be a drive into the third quarter. They did say, Coach Rivera did say that he is going to play into the third quarter. So that's intriguing to me. We get Tyler Heineke going against a bunch of backups, and he's someone that obviously can get it done with his legs, was productive as a quarterback last year for a decent amount of the season. Like, going against backups, that's intriguing to me. I do expect him to score a touchdown, and I think he makes a lot of sense today. If you can fit him into your builds, you should do it. But there are some other better quarterbacks I'll touch on here in the afternoon game that you probably do want to chase a little bit more. Getting into the ball carriers for Washington, Robinson Jr., much more of a guy that's expected to kind of take the short yardage carries. It says it right there. So maybe that leads to a touchdown out of him. Obviously, they want to see what they have in him here. This is probably the best spot for him to score a touchdown. I don't mind him. I actually like Jared Patterson a little bit better, especially in terms of stacking with Taylor Heineke. We know that he's a player that can catch the ball in the backfield. He's very dynamic. He was a preseason stud last year, and I kind of expect that to continue on because Antonio Gibson's there, J.D. McKissic's there, and now obviously Robinson Jr., the rookie, he's also there. So Patterson should still get a decent amount of playing time. I like him a lot. I don't see any of these other guys really getting that much work. Patterson makes a lot of sense, especially up until about the fourth quarter for playing time purposes. At receiver, we got the rookie receiver, Jahan Dotson, who, besides Romeo Doubs, he's probably with London getting injured yesterday, he's probably the next best rookie receiver. Like, it's really, at this point, it's Dobbs as the number one rookie receiver in fantasy football drafts or Jahan Dotson at this point, based off of the hype, based off of the camp. And, Dotson's going to try to prove himself as like the top rookie receiver. He's been getting a lot of hype out of camp. We'll see if he can back it up. It's never guaranteed, but the fact of the matter is he has been getting a lot of hype out of camp, and there's a decent amount of competition there to the point where he doesn't need to kind of prove himself. You got Cam Sims, De'Ami Brown, like those are all decent enough players. Alex Erickson, a strong like special teams player, good enough to make the roster. I kind of expect him to. That's kind of it there. Like, I like him. He makes sense. Don't really want to chase too much. Tight end wise, nothing that I really see there. So it's really deciding where you want to go from there. Obviously, really strong builds there. So now we're going to pivot into the Indy game and Buffalo game. Okay. This is kind of the one I think I like the most. Thoughts on Mahomes getting a full quarter. So I kind of touched on that a little bit there. I like Mahomes. A lot of the time, like I kind of touched on this. So with starters that are going to be playing and the coach is saying, all right, he's going to get 10 to 20 snaps or maybe a full quarter. Really, that comes down to basically the head coach saying, I want to see my offense put together a good drive, a good series. And so if you get starters, get in the first quarter with kind of that thought process in hand, you really just have to ask yourself, what is the likelihood of those starters putting together a good drive and potentially scoring? Obviously, for the Chiefs, a lot higher with Patrick Mahomes out there, with their starters out there, kind of going against the Bears. That's a lot higher. The chances of him scoring a touchdown are a lot higher. But your ceiling is very much capped there, okay? And that's where I like kind of just chasing the backup quarterbacks a little bit more because, well, you're getting a full half of football for some of these guys, so the chances of them scoring 2 touchdowns are a lot higher. Maybe Patrick Mahomes gets 2 series and scores 2 touchdowns in a row. We could see that happening. It wouldn't be out of the question there, or out of the equation there. It could happen. I don't mind it. I will have like 10% of him, Patrick Mahomes. Not a bad question. But that's something you need to decide. I like going like Heineke a little bit more. It's weird. I like going Nathan Peterman a little bit more, playing about a half of football maybe. But I like the Buffalo quarterbacks a little bit more. And since we kind of just touched on that, I'll start with Buffalo here. So Buffalo is kind of the spot where you should be getting your quarterback ownership here. So Josh Allen, not expected to play. That leaves us with Case Keenum, a proven veteran here. 1 second. He's a proven veteran in the NFL. Like, going against backups, he should be able to score a touchdown, especially getting a full half of football. He better get a touchdown, or else the Bills are going to be in trouble. Like, he needs to produce, and I think he will. Going against backups, he should easily produce. But then you also have Matt Barkley, who most likely going to get the second half. And Matt Barkley, although I think he sucks, to be honest with you guys, he could throw a pick or two. But getting a full half of football against backups, and you've been in this league as long as he has, like, he should be able to score a touchdown as well. So I like both of them, and maybe Matt Barkley just, hey, we know he's probably going to get sacked a decent amount, probably going to throw a couple of picks. Well, maybe just one pick. I'll be a little bit nice to him. But the chances of him scoring a touchdown are pretty high. The chances of him, unless this game is a blowout, the chances of him having 100 yards passing and a touchdown is pretty high. And maybe the game is a blowout, and maybe the Bills just try to run the ball a lot in the second half, and we get hurt by that. But the thought process is there. The playing time's there. Good play. Then looking at James Cook. So James Cook, obviously the rookie running back. The expectation is that he eventually will get playing time for the Bills, but really there's no need to rush it. They got Devin Singletary there. They got Zach Moss there. They don't really need to rush him. So I think they're going to, and obviously Duke Johnson's there as well. There's no real reason to rush him until he's ready. And I'm not saying he's not ready, but I'm saying that they are most likely going to use this game as a game to get him some reps, especially in the passing game. Maybe, 5 rushing attempts, 4 targets. It wouldn't be shocking there. Like James Cook, it just makes sense for him to get some playing time. So I really don't mind him. I think he should have a decent floor. Obviously, if you like the rookie hype there, you're probably playing him. I do think there are some better options at running back, but you could easily play him and get away with it. At receiver for the Buffalo Bills, you got Isaiah Hodgins. I'm assuming that's how you say it. Once again, I'm not a name expert. I apologize for that. But man, so apparently he's been dominating in camp thus far. Obviously, we're following camp news. You can never trust that too much, but when trying to find an edge, apparently he's been hooking up with the quarterbacks a lot. He's kind of been their standout player, and obviously he's a backup, so kind of chasing that playing time once again. I like him a lot in this game. And then also you got Jake Kumerow. He's kind of just a proven veteran. You get him as the 5th receiver on your team. It's not loading for me. Not sure why. All right, there we go. You get him as like the 5th receiver on your team. He's going to be playing against backups. Like he's going to get open. It's just whether or not the ball comes to him. And I think it will, because he's kind of just a proven veteran at this point. He beats up on backups all the time. I expect him to be productive in this one. So if you are kind of trying to stack this game, it makes sense to use kind of those 3, James Cook, Hudgens, and Kumerow. I like that a decent amount there. And then nothing really there for the tight end side. OJ Howard, maybe if you want to chase that. Once again, I think we have some better tight ends to go with. And I'm going to touch on one here for the Colts. So I'm actually very intrigued about Drew Ogletree. Okay. Drew Ogletree has been getting a lot of hype out of camp. Obviously, the Colts have been wanting to get more production out of like Mo Alley-Cox and kind of the rest of their tight end group. And it just hasn't come true. So Ogletree, rookie tight end, he's been getting a lot of hype out of camp. And so I'm more or less just looking at him. Hey, what can he do? Maybe for best ball purposes, maybe for season long. I don't know, week 8. Like, okay, remember Drew Ogletree had a good preseason. The opportunity's there for him now, and maybe you got out of your way to pick him up a week early before he kind of becomes a name in the fantasy football community. That's really what I'm looking for from him. I'm not sure I want to play him too much in DFS today, just once again because you got Tommy Tremble and Jared Scott expected to play a lot. You got the 2 rookie tight ends for the Bears expected to play a decent amount. So although I like Drew Ogletree, I don't see a path to playing him too much, especially when the quarterback room is tough to kind of nail down. So like stacking purposes is not really there, but he does make sense. If you're playing showdown slate for that game, you could play him, and that's probably the route I would go. But touching on the quarterback room here, They're kind of all expected to play. Jack Cohen, I think everyone kind of knows Jack Cohen from not really the Badgers, but his time with Notre Dame. I'm not going to touch on him too much. Like, we're just staying away from this quarterback room because, well, there's no real reason to play them. Just playing time-wise, sure, they could all score a touchdown, but their ceiling's all capped. Okay, we don't need to go into that too much. Looking at the running back room, once again, like kind of just a crowded running back room. JT's not expected to play. Nyheim Hines, like, why would you play him too much? Same thing with Phillip Lindsay. So that kind of leaves me with liking Tyson Williams a little bit. When he was with the Baltimore Ravens, I really liked the film he put together. He's kind of a shifty guy. So if he does get some playing time in this one, I do expect him to do well, but I fully expect the playing time to be split up amongst all the Colts running backs there. So it's kind of like, why chase it too much? Obviously, a player can hit. Jonathan Ward can score 2 short touchdowns like yesterday. I didn't really touch on this guy, so I was a BJ Baylor touchdown away from taking down a showdown yesterday, which a fun sweat, solid day yesterday. And also Brandon Allen. I had a top 10 lineup with Brandon Allen in it, who got injured on like the second series. That was a showdown one. That was painful. But that's kind of preseason DFS, obviously. It's kind of like one big play here or there shifts the whole slate. But that's the fun of it. You know, it's like I had one of the games, I didn't have any like profitable lineups going into the second half, and then in the second half, it like just took off, which it's fun. That's the fun part of it. Just kind of throwing it out there. That's why I like preseason DFS a lot. But looking at the Colts here, no one too much. I mean, there's just a bunch of names here. Could they hit? Sure, they could. But just too many names to really look at. I know Kiki Cutie's been getting a little bit of hype out of camp. If you want to play him, you can. Obviously, he kind of needs to prove himself. With Paris Campbell currently kind of injured, they want him to step up. Desmond Patton, he's been a good enough like preseason player in the past. He could hit, but really, once again, just trying to force stuff in there. And I don't really like forcing anything in there, so not too much. And honestly, guys, defensively, I'm curious. In the comment section, do you guys have any defenses that you like? Because that's probably the one thing I struggle with the most. I got lucky with the Browns yesterday. They scored a touchdown. I got lucky there. And they're kind of the one I went in on the most. But I'm curious, like, do you guys have any edge on defense? Because that really typically is the biggest difference maker for shutdown slates. And obviously, if you're stacking a quarterback, then you don't play that defense. So, okay, stay out is saying KC and Chicago D. So I honestly like KC D probably the most, just because their starters are going to play a decent amount, apparently a quarter. You get Justin Fields, who apparently hasn't had a good camp, and then you get the backups in there. With how banged up the Bears are, like, that is the one defense I have been playing the most. But, like, yeah, sure, if I was going to go in on one, that'd be the route I go. But it's tough, guys. Like, it really is. I'm struggling there. I really am. And it's kind of the same thought process there with the Colts for me. Like, my next favorite would be the Colts, just because Josh Allen is not expected to play. You get 2 backup quarterbacks in there with the Colts starters in there for about a full quarter. Like, they're the next defense that I like. It's a toss-up, and I think it's tough, you know? Yeah, so that's not exactly the logic, though. D against the worst quarterback groups. I mean, it is, but it's not. Yeah, yes, but no. Like, it's preseason DFS. Like, all it takes is one bad play for a defense to get a pick 6, or just random stuff. I mean, Jordan Love had a good preseason game last year, and he threw 3 picks because 2 players dropped it. And another one receiver ran a poor route. Like, it's preseason defense, random stuff like that happens. And, like, sure, if I went down on one main build, I just put all the defenses in it, swap it out 6 times. It's just tough. All right, thank goodness. Finally, someone said the stream quality was good. I like that. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, so we got a question about kind of showdown for Buffalo and Indy. So I'll just go over that. So, unfortunately, guys, I'm so mad at DraftKings for having kickers still on showdown slates. It's pissing me off. Like, take them out. They keep rolling showdown slates. It ruins the fun. It really does. Like, I hate having to play a kicker, and I hate having to play defense on a showdown slate. It's just not fun. It takes the fun out of it. Like, having the knowledge to play certain players in spots, and then just having that knowledge go away by someone playing a kicker because, well, it kind of just makes sense, especially for teams that only have one kicker. It makes sense, and it's just annoying. I just get so annoyed. It's probably the one thing that I get annoyed by the most. And I don't know, probably a lot of you guys watching this don't follow me for golf, PGA DFS stuff. It's more annoying than a golfer withdrawing after a lineup lock. Honestly, kickers in showdown slates. But we'll touch on this here real quick. So showdown wise, just recapping it. So I do say just choosing one of the Buffalo Bills quarterbacks makes sense. If you want to captain them, you can. I don't particularly like that. Going for the running back room for showdown purposes, maybe just choosing one of these guys because, once again, I don't love the playing time too much. I think it's going to be spread out. So maybe just James Cook, maybe just I think that's kind of it. Maybe just James Cook. Obviously, I don't mind Tyson Williams. You could go that route. At receiver, it's a lot more open. Obviously, Hudgens, Kumaro. Like, honestly, this would be, take out Jared Scott here. This would be kind of a base setup for me for showdown purposes. But then we can't play Indy D, which I think is going to be a decent D to play. Receiver-wise, we can toss in Cutie. And, pretty decent start there. Like, that's kind of the path I would go there. So real quickly, I kind of want to try to make a build here, just putting it all together. I'm trying to think, do I want to do like a stack or kind of like an optimal build? I think the route today is to just do some stacks if you're making 3 builds. Just 3 different stacks. So we'll start off with Buffalo. I'll kind of complete this build for you guys. So we'll do Case Keenum for now. I'm not going to play James Cook. I still kind of want to make an optimal build here, or what I see as an optimal build. So we're going to go Hudgens, Kumaro. I still think they're going to be strong plays there. Then looking at tight end, once again, Jared Scott. I think the logic behind Jared Scott as a play is kind of there. Tommy Tremble should be productive, though, with the first group, but maybe the coaches say, hey, we're worried about injuries. Let's just get Jared Scott all the reps. So that's kind of the route I'm going with there. At running back, I'm actually going to pull this up on the right up here. I don't remember which one I liked the most. So, like, Ebner was probably the one I liked the most, and Jared Patterson. So kind of splitting it up. I don't particularly like doing that. You could go with the Chiefs rookie running back as well. I don't mind him. The problem with this slate is there's no real standout running back, whereas like last slate we had 6 great running backs that all hit value. Whereas on this slate, it's kind of you're making educated guesses. So as a whole, I should probably say that like I don't like this slate as much as the last one, as yesterday's. Then at receiver, let's see here. Maybe Justin Watson, I don't mind him. Maybe Dotson, I don't mind him as well. Tajay Sharp, Coulter. This is where it gets difficult. Like, we just don't really have standout plays. We're just making a bunch of educated guesses on some good enough plays and just hoping that it pans out. I'm going to go Watson. I think he's a solid receiver. Flex, I typically like going with a running back to secure the floor a little bit. Obviously, your ceiling's a little bit minimized because all it takes is a receiver, one big play, and they're scoring a touchdown. So, yeah, I will go with the Chiefs rookie there, and then I'll go Chiefs D. I think the logic behind Chiefs D is a little bit better than Colts D, and obviously when stacking the Colts or stacking the Bills, you don't want to play Colts D. So this is actually a really strong stack, I think. Let's see here, any more stuff? Sunday morning's going to be pumped up. This feels like a Sunday morning, does it not, Jerry? It does. I'll try to do more live videos. It's just tough. So I haven't really told many people this, but I'm currently coaching college football as well. I'm a receiver coach at kind of a local college. So my time has been limited. I'm still putting out, all the same PGA DFS content that I do, obviously hammering preseason stuff, but the time's limited there. So if I can do more live streams, and honestly, that might be the route to go, is to do more live streams because all the time is limited. So instead of doing some like post-production stuff and pre-production stuff for making the video a little bit better quality, maybe we just go live stream. That might be the route to go. I actually don't mind that. Oh shoot, I appreciate that. Stay odd. Is it stay odd? Yeah, okay, I like that. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, that analytical side of golf I personally love. And one thing I found out about golf is I keep finding more and more data that like studs and duds seems like the way to go. It really does. Yeah, I'm a receiver coach. It's kind of fun there at kind of a local college. I'm enjoying it a lot more than I thought I would. I thought it'd be like too stressed out and stuff. It's fun. I'm really enjoying it. Yeah, sorry. One more build here, and then we'll be getting out of here. So I'm kind of going to do the exact opposite where, all right, we're going to do a little bit of I don't know why. I know I have a bias for Nate Peterman. It's the weirdest thing. I'm going to put him in there, and this lineup's going to suck for, 2.5 quarters, and then the final quarter and a half, try to get lucky, and that's exactly what I'm going for with this build. And this is where, like, if you're doing a showdown, I think you could still play Chiefs D. It's kind of like Ravens D with Malik Willis. Like, Ravens D still hit, Malik Willis still hit. I think showdown-wise, you could still do that. So I'm going to put Colts D in there. Just once again, logic. You got 2 backups going against some starters for a decent amount of time. You could go that route. I don't mind it. Let's see here. I like Taylor Heineke as well. I'll just do that stack as well one more time, and then I'll be getting out of here. Okay. So here we go. Bears once again. And I like Ebner. Once again, I think he's going to get a decent amount of work out of the backfield. We can go Darrington Evans, and then maybe we just go back to the Chiefs rookie running back, kind of game stack this a little bit. Really don't mind that. So Justin Watson, we'll do that. We'll game stack it. So Tajay Sharp. There we go. And then I don't mind Dante Pettis. I already mentioned that. You could easily go with him. The safer route would be Coulter. We could do that. And then we got one of the rookie tight ends. And maybe this is where you submit this lineup with Chase Allen, and then you go back in there with Tongues, make 2 lineups, submit two lineups. So I really don't mind this stack as well. And then just following it up, we're going to do a Washington stack, and then we get out of here. And once again, guys, I do want to echo that. Out of the slate so far, this is probably the one in which we're having to make educated guesses the most. Okay, and that's kind of unfortunate. Just a lot less secure playing time. A lot more coaches are playing their starters more, which makes it harder to predict. Okay, so a lot more educated guesses. I just want you guys to know that. Where like yesterday, it's like, okay, we know the Eagles running backs are going to most likely hit value. We know the Packers running backs are most likely going to hit value. There was a few Packers receivers I really liked. Kind of knew they would hit value as well. Yesterday's slate was making educated guesses on tight ends, and that didn't hit. The Hall of Fame game kind of made some educated guesses on some players, and that did hit. So it goes both ways there. But obviously, it's less. The floor is a lot less today than yesterday, I think. So Dotson, obviously with Heineke, I like that. Tight end wise, can't do it. We're going to go Panthers route. We're going to go Jared Scott, maybe Tremble as well. And I'm mad. I didn't see this on the showdown slate, and maybe they put it in there in the last half an hour or an hour. I really wish we had this as a showdown slate. Yeah, I think this would be the one in which showdown-wise we would have the biggest edge, which unfortunately we don't. So Zielstra running it back for the Panthers, I don't mind. Once again, just trying to game stack. Get back into it. Robinson, I think he has a decent chance to score a touchdown, but that doesn't really go hand in hand with Heineke hitting, I don't think. I mean, this is just guessing. Like, all 4 of these guys right here, I think could hit. Maybe Erickson is going against backups. Like, that's tough. Like, obviously, I'm forcing it in there, and I don't think we have to. All right, Ebner's going to make me look like a fool today, guys. I'm kind of just going in on him now at this point. Put him at running back, though. There we go. Flex-wise, I still like Justin Watson a decent amount. Once again, though, the opportunities are not locked in there. Let's go Coulter. And then D, Chiefs. Look, I kind of just got it along to the Chiefs there. But let's get to the end screen here, and then I'll be heading out of here, guys. So I do want to mention that, well, all right, don't worry about the graphic below about the join 9 to 5 membership for $10 a month. Not doing that this year, and it's partially due to the fact that, once again, I am coaching college football this year, so time is a little bit limited. And I want to put out the best product I can possible without having to kind of worry about that stress of delivering the top-notch membership quality that I kind of strive for. You know, you guys see that with the PGA side of it. So I'm not going to do that. So don't worry about that. I will be coming out with the other Saturday slate, which I'm more excited for than this slate, where I said, you know, we were kind of forcing some plays in there. The afternoon slate is a little bit better. We have some kind of easier plays. And so that's a video that I'll try to get out at around 2 p.m. Central, maybe 1 p.m. Central. That's kind of what I'm going to be doing after this. I'm going to get a quick lift in and then kind of start working on that. So that won't be a live stream. That'll just be a normal video. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, you already guys know what to do. Like and subscribe. I do appreciate that. Let's have a good slate and let's have a good Saturday.